Bonjour, bienvenue à TV Entrepreneur. Je suis aujourd'hui avec un homme d'expérience, Mike Grandinetti, une personne que j'ai rencontrée avec grand plaisir l'année dernière à Bootcamp, un concours pour les entrepreneurs à Montréal. Et je l'ai également rencontré à DevTech 50 à Québec. Mike, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is really a pleasure. You were generous enough to accept my invitation. This is great because I want to help entrepreneurs of Quebec. Mm-hmm. And from the experience that I was able to understand from what you're doing in Quebec, the kind of coaching and training,
right?
There's some answers that you can give entrepreneurs, and the question is, and it's based on a pain point that we're often able to analyze, observe toward entrepreneurs of Quebec City, is that strategic marketing is something that is not, let's say, really well applied in the methodology or framework. And from this standpoint, you've got the tip of the iceberg with outbound marketing.
Right.
And you got the bases, that is the more complicated things to do that are strategic.
Yes.
What could you say about this domain?
It's a great question, and we could spend a lot of time.
Totally.
But I guess let me say three things. This is not just unique to Quebec. I have the pleasure at this stage of my career to spend time in a lot of emerging innovation clusters all around the world, in Europe, other provinces in Canada, as well as the US. And strategic marketing has lots of room for improvement in a lot of emerging innovation ecosystems. So Quebec is just one of many. Okay. The second thing I would say is you're absolutely right. Strategic marketing is something that I don't think the typical technology entrepreneur understands. Okay? Most technology entrepreneurs are trained as scientists, they're trained as engineers. Yeah. And their view of marketing is informed by their experience as a consumer.
Yep.
So they think of marketing as Coca-Cola or Burger King or Tim Hortons, right? And so they think about marketing as promotion and merchandising.
So more likely these guys are more technical than oriented toward marketing by itself, or does that have anything to do with it?
The average founder of a tech company is an engineer or a scientist. Totally. So they come up through a certain set of disciplines, and the more training they have, if they have their PhD, right, they have spent an awful lot of time going very deep in a scientific discipline. Yep. But often they haven't spent a lot of time thinking about or understanding marketing. Yeah. So at the invitation of Isabelle Geneste from Quebec International, I spent a good part of today with a group of 6 entrepreneurial companies in the propulsion program. And the entire workday, and we're going to do it tonight and then again tomorrow, is addressing this very issue, which is what is strategic marketing? And I took the team today, the group, through a 10-point plan. Okay. But the most important thing, and I think one of the areas that is least understood, is how important it is to identify a specific customer problem where the issue is extremely important to the customer, but at the same time, the satisfaction level of existing solutions is extremely low, right? Yep. That's very fertile territory for an entrepreneur to, like a heat-seeking missile, go after. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs are solving problems that it turns out are not very important to customers, or where there's so many other great solutions that they're hunting in territory that is very crowded or very irrelevant. So the first order of business is, I believe, right, if an entrepreneur wants to solve a critical problem, the first thing they have to do is be passionate about solving that problem. They have to either have brought experience to that problem as a previous user or customer of solutions that failed. And that passion really fuels their ongoing ability to do all the hard work that you know as an entrepreneur it takes, right? You don't become a tech entrepreneur because it's an easy way to get rich, right? There's easier ways to make money. Technology entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride. And the first and foremost thing is if you have the expertise and the passion and the curiosity about the problem, then you're going to invest the time required to dig in deeply and become a market expert.
So from this perspective of being able to help entrepreneurs as you're doing as a coach and to guide them toward what's important into the voice of the customer, the need analysis, and what is the real pain point that we're solving.
That's right.
Is what you're saying is very important.
It is. But it's easy to use the word customer, but the real challenge and the art, and where so many entrepreneurs get it wrong, is they focus on the wrong customer. So we're here in Canada, so I love to talk about the Wayne Gretzky customer. The customer that is 3 seconds ahead of everyone else on the ice in terms of where the puck is going. Because if you choose the wrong customer, they can actually bring you into a ditch. Totally. So if you're going to focus on solving a problem, you have to apply a tremendous amount of rigor to who are those customers that have embodied sort of being visionaries about where their market is heading and how they're applying technology in their respective markets to solve problems, right? And so if you can work backwards from here's the pain point that I'm solving, now who are the customers that are best known in their respective target markets because they're leaders, they're key opinion leaders, they're people that are blogging, they're speaking at conferences, they're publishing articles in journals or in trade publications. These are the people that are driving the agenda of their respective industries.
Are they called the innovators, those individuals?
In general, they're innovators. Often they're called early adopters.
Early adopters, totally.
And early adopters are the fuel that really gets the startup going into the marketplace.
So to well identify the personas by itself that can help you validate your product or solution by itself, and then to go forward with this, let's say, better need analysis, and to grab really what is needed into the features of a tech solution by itself.
That's right. And the customer's voice is critical, and the right customer is especially critical, but you have to have a very holistic view, right? So you want to look at the entire value chain, and if you have an understanding of every step in the chain and where value is created, you're seeing a lot of disintermediation today. Yep. And although disintermediation was first introduced in the web era, with the cloud and social and mobile and community-based marketing, it's easier and easier now to go directly to customers. So a lot of enterprise software companies, for example, are using inside sales forces. They're not using VARs. They're not using a lot of the traditional channels. True. So you have to take a very holistic approach as to who the customer is, how they're going to derive value. Yep. And sometimes that could be a strategic partner. Yep. It can be other people in the chain. So you want the holistic perspective. So voice of customer, but to me it's voice of market as well.
Totally.
Voice of ecosystem.
Yeah, from this systemic view, I mean, you can suggest maybe as a conclusion to the entrepreneurs that will listen to this content, what would be from this first step of better grabbing the needs and to orientate your market development and as well your product development toward those needs? What would be, let's say, the three main things that, or maybe four that you think of that could be really particular advantages for those entrepreneurs to put it, in action?
Okay. I mean, first and foremost, I think, is just immerse yourself in your market. There is no substitute for diving in headfirst and diving in deeply to your market. Now, if you're in Quebec, we had this discussion today with a lot of the entrepreneurs, some of them have the luxury of having customers, early adopter class customers in their respective target markets that are here locally, right? By all means, take advantage of that great benefit. Totally. But for some of these people, that means they're going to have to plant the flag in some customer-centric cluster. For one of the companies selling industrial robotics, that's Detroit in Ohio, from what he believes, right? So get to your customers as quickly as you can. Spend time with them, right? There's an anthropological approach, which is, yes, it's important to hear what they say, but sometimes even they don't truly understand what they do. So observing them in the wild, if you will, observing them in their natural environment, there's no substitute, right? And there's an old cliche, you can never be too rich or too thin. You can never know too much about your customers. So that would be the first thing I would say. Great. But oftentimes, even early adopter customers are influenced by outsiders. So the second key thing is cultivate relationships with strategic partners in your target market. Sometimes those strategic partners have lost their own ability to be effective in selling to a specific target market. There's a gap in their solution, and they depend on the innovation that come from young startups here in Quebec and elsewhere. So strategic partners are massively leveraged. And they bring the endorsement value, they bring access to customers, sometimes they bring capital if they have a corporate venture capital arm, but most importantly, they really bring access to their end user customers. The third thing is there are a lot of critical influencers. Right? They could be Gartner Group analysts. It can be Walt Mossberg or a columnist that writes an influential column in a major publication. So I talk a lot about the Holy Trinity. So if I'm an entrepreneur, I want, and I know we talked about in this white studio, God is going to appear at some point. But the Holy Trinity, to keep on the religious theme, is an early adopter customer, a very significant strategic partner whose interests are aligned with yours in solving a problem, and some kind of key opinion leader. It could be a blogger, it could be an industry expert, it could be a consultant. So those to me are the critical steps. And like when you create a fire, you need several elements to have that fire get sparked. When you're getting an early market started, you need those three key elements to come together to really build that foundation on which you build the rest of that venture.
Pretty good. Mike, thank you very much for your visit. It was an honor to have you here.
Ghislain, thank
you.
Hope
to see you soon.
I'm sure we will, and thank you for having me.
I hope you the best, and I wish all my luck and energy to the enterprise that you're coaching. I hope they have a great success.
Thank you.